Hello, my name is James Arroyo, and welcome to Topic Selection and Clarification. Have you ever started a speech or a writing assignment and just jumped in with a topic, didn't really start outlining or anything like that, and just started doing it and then realized maybe this isn't the best topic, maybe I want to do something else? This is a very common experience, and by putting in a little bit more effort in the topic selection and clarification section of this development cycle, it can allow us to work smarter, not harder, and to be able to find better topics that adapt to what we want to talk about, but also to what the audience wants to listen to. So let's jump right into topic selection and clarification. First, when choosing a topic, we have to focus on three things. First, commitment to a cause. It's important to you and that you want to learn more about it. Because if you care a lot about your topic, it's going to be much easier for you to be able to research, to develop the speech, and then it's going to be much easier for you to also present the speech because you won't have to fake passion. You will just be passionate about the topic. Next, reputation. That you have knowledge and experience on the topic. The knowledge helps because you're better able to understand what you are going to be discussing overall so that you sort of already have a general idea of what you're going to be talking about. But also experience means that you have more credibility on this topic so that you're better able to show that you're credible so that the audience is better able to listen to you. And then lastly, we have occasion, that the topic is adapted to the audience's expectations. Because if it is not, then the audience is very much going to be um, disregarding of your message. So those are three things to consider. Now let's talk about the process of how to choose a topic. First, we compile a list of potential topics. Second, we evaluate each topic. And third, we commit to a topic. Very simple. Let's jump right in. How do we compile topics? Brainstorming. There are some simple steps or guidelines to help us through a brainstorming process. First, come prepared to the brainstorming session because you should have already brainstormed some ideas so that you are able to bring the best ideas to the brainstorming session. Then, invite others to the party outside of your comfort zone because we tend to form into friendships with those who we are similar to, and similarity among group members is not going to be ideal for brainstorming. So you want people who are of diverse perspectives so that so that there's many ideas coming through in a brainstorming session. Also, think and rethink the real issue. This involves problem solving because brainstorming can help with problem solving. But in general, we aren't going to discuss that very much. Next, we have record as you go. Recording all of the ideas is critical because you are not going to remember every single idea. Defer judgment. This is an important one too because if you feel judged by someone else as you're brainstorming, then you're going to be less likely to offer input in the future. In the same way, you also shouldn't judge your own ideas because that evaluation is going to come later and you won't be able to come up with as many ideas if you're constantly judging your own. Also, be a generator machine and set large idea quotas. Set a goal of 200 ideas. That will allow you to be able to come up with far more ideas than, and therefore have a larger amount of topics to choose from. And elaborate and improve ideas, never deny them, and be bold. Now that we've talked about ways to compile through brainstorming, there are many different potential topics that we can brainstorm about. Interests, beliefs, hobbies, educational experiences, jobs, cultural backgrounds, places you've traveled. All of these can be great potential topics for your informative or persuasive speeches. But if that doesn't work, you can also research potential topics. This can come from magazines, bookstores, libraries, websites. You could even ask friends, what are some of the topics that you're thinking about? Asking family members, even asking fellow students. For your informative speech, how many topics can you do? Only one. So if every student has come up with many ideas and have evaluated their ideas and are now have chosen their specific one, guess what? A lot of them will be left on the chopping room floor so that you will be able to take one of their not so great ideas that is still actually pretty great. And you could even ask cool professors. Guess what? Cool professors have been doing classes like these for quite a while and would be happy to share and help you with your own potential topics. Now that we've talked about how to compile a list of topics, now we're going to talk about how to evaluate these topics. There are some questions to ask ourselves. First, is it appropriate for the speaking situation or assignment? An inappropriate topic for an informative speech would be a persuasive speech, and vice versa. So it has to fit the assignment. Also, the speaking situation. What is something that makes a speech inappropriate, or anything inappropriate? That it doesn't conform to the relationship, the situation, or the cultural expectations. So, some ways that it can't conform to the relationship, if you are doing an informative speech on your sex life, for example, then that's not going to be very appropriate. If you are talking about your drug use or things like that, that's not going to be appropriate for the speaking situation or the relationship or the cultural expectations. So be careful about what is appropriate for the assignment. Also, is the topic area too large or small to cover in the allotted time? To talk about the Civil War, long form documentaries don't have enough time to discuss the Civil War, so it won't be effective for a 5 to 7 minute speech. But instead, talking about maybe what caused the Civil War, that might be a better speech for a 5 to 7 minute informative speech. And is there enough research on this topic? That is something very important because with our assignments, you are going to have a requirement of how many sources, and you will even have database source requirements. So making a corn quesadilla may not be the best topic because you won't have enough information to research from. Also, now there are other ways to also some criteria that you also need when evaluating your topic. First, is the topic interesting to me? This is important because you have to be passionate about it to show that passion to your audience. And have you ever worked on something that was not of interest to you? How did that go? It tends not to go well because we feel less motivated to engage with it, and therefore the outcome is not as good. Also, will the speech topic be exciting or interesting to my audience? So, you have to focus on what you know and what you love, but also what the audience cares about. This means that the audience needs to have it needs to be new information to your audience. And you can make things exciting and interesting to your audience in many ways. A big way to do this is by showing that it has a direct or indirect impact on your audience, which means that you have to show how it is relevant to the audience's lives or how it's useful directly to their lives. Meaning that if you are showing how to do a specific task that the audience is going to save money, save time on, then of course that's going to be something that is highly relevant, and therefore the audience is more likely to be engaged by that topic. So now that we've discussed some of the ways that we evaluate each topic, now we have to commit to the topic. And this is a simple one, but in practice it is not as simple as we may think. We want to be sure that we are committing to a topic as early as possible, because that way we are able to develop our speech. And if we don't commit early, then we are in a rush to develop the speech in total. This is challenging because we may have a wide list of topics, but frankly, there are no amazing or bad topics. There are, in general, it's what you make of it. And I know that I don't have to say this for the majority of any class, but there are no easy topics. Topics that are easy or that won't require that much work, they are not easy. They are just bad. That I have seen very, very easy topics be developed and put a great deal of effort into, to the point where they became amazing topics. But I've also seen complex topics not put that much effort into, and then it just ends up being a bad speech. So we want to be sure that we are choosing a topic quick, so that we are follows that evaluation criteria, so that you are better able to choose better topics that will help you develop your speech easier. So now that we've chosen the topic, are we done? No. We have to develop clarity. This means developing a speech goal, a specific purpose, a significant statement, and eventually a topic revelation statement. First, we start with our speech goal. This is the general purpose. There are 3 in all speeches: to inform, to persuade, or to entertain. Those are the big 3 speech goals of any speech. There are no other goals. The specific purpose is where you narrow down that focus, explains what needs to be accomplished, describes what will be covered in the allotted time, and this is the general formula to follow when creating a specific purpose statement. First, the speech goal, then the audience, then a precise description of the topic. So for example, if my topic is to inform about poaching of elephants in Africa, then I would say my goal is to inform the audience, the speech class, of the plight of the African elephant in Africa, or how African elephants are being poached. So this should be audience-centered, concrete, declarative, single sentence, use specific language, and express only one idea. Notice that the specific purpose doesn't have to be infinitely complex. It just has to get straight to the point of what I am discussing for my speech. Then we have a significant statement. This answers the age-old question, so what? This helps show and make relevant the topic to the audience, so that we are affecting the audience better. We should be asking these questions like, what do we want? Why would the audience want to listen? Does it fit them and their interests? Or how can I best relate my speech to them? And then lastly, we jump to the topic revelation statement. This requires a conversational tone, and we're going to do this just like with the specific statement, specific purpose statement of the goal, the audience, a precise description of the topic. So too can we do math with the topic revelation statement. It should have a time indicator. Today, for the next few minutes, this afternoon. A communicating verb. I will describe, I will teach, I will argue, I will persuade. Watch out for persuade though, because that may put the audience on guard. And vibrant adjectives: philanthropic, necessary, dire. So, with my elephant example, I may say, for the next few minutes, I will inform you of the dire plight of African elephants due to poaching. And just like that, I've created a topic revelation statement that engages the audience and that is clear so that the audience understands, okay, now I know what the speech is going to be about. And that concludes this lesson. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time.